The alleged Saudi role in the September 11 attacks suggests the Saudi Arabian government was connected to 9/11. The 2004 final report of the National Commission on Terrorist Attacks upon the United States found no evidence that the Saudi government as an institution or senior Saudi officials individually funded to conspire in the attacks, or that it funded the attackers, even though the report identifies Saudi Arabia as the primary source of al-Qaeda funding. Although 15 of the 19 hijackers were Saudi citizens, the Saudi government had long had broad immunity from September 11 tragedy lawsuits in the United States. Before a U.S. District Court for the SDNY judge allowed a suit against the government in March 2018. Evidence submitted in a lawsuit against the Saudi Arabian government revealed that it had funded flights to research security weaknesses. Specifically, the suit alleges the Saudi Arabian government funded 2 individuals who asked flight attendants technical questions and tried to enter the cockpit of a domestic flight in the U.S., which caused the flight to make an emergency landing and the individuals to be interrogated by the FBI. They were later released. In July 2016, the U.S. government released a document compiled by Dana Lesserman and Michael Jacobson, known as File 17 Inches, which contains a list naming 36 people, including Fahad al-Thamayri, Omar al-Bayoumi, Osama Basnam, and Modhar Abdullah, which connects Saudi Arabia to the hijackers. According to the former Democratic U.S. Senator Bob Graham, much of the information upon which File 17 was written was based on what's in the 28 pages. The Saudi government has long denied any connection. Relatives of victims have tried to use the courts to hold Saudi royals, banks, or charities responsible, but these efforts have been thwarted partly by a 1976 law giving foreign governments immunity. According to Gavdat Bhagat, a professor of political science, following the 11th of September attacks, the so-called Saudi policy of promoting terrorism and funding hatred faced strong criticism by several influential policy makers and think tanks in Washington. The U.S. government has actively collaborated with the Saudis in suppressing the revelation of evidence of the Saudi government's responsibility for the attacks, denying FOIA requests and supplying inside information to the lawyers representing the Saudis involved. Graham characterizes the strategy as not a cover-up, but aggressive deception. According to the New York Post in 2017, the Saudi government was accused of performing a dry run by paying 2 Saudi nationals, Al-Qudhi and Hamdan al-Shalawi, living undercover in the U.S. as students, to fly from Phoenix to Washington 2 years before the attacks. Based on the FBI documents, Qudhi and Shalawi were in fact members of the kingdom's network of agents in the United States. The documents also claimed that they were trained in Afghanistan with a number of other al-Qaeda operatives that participated in the attacks. In November 1999, they boarded an America West flight to Washington, reportedly paid for by the Saudi embassy. During the flights, they tried to access the cockpit several times in order to test out flight deck security before 9/11. The pilots made an emergency landing in Ohio since they were so spooked by the Saudi passengers and their aggressive behavior. In March 2016, Saudi Arabia threatened the Obama administration to sell $750 billion United States dollars worth of American assets owned by Saudi Arabia if the Justice Against Sponsors of Terrorism Act, designed to create an exception to the 1976 Foreign Sovereign Immunity Act, was enacted, which caused fears of destabilizing the US dollar. US President Barack Obama also warned against unintended consequences, while other economic analysts believed that this action would damage the Saudi government. The JASTA was enacted after Barack Obama's veto was overridden by Congress on September 28, 2016. Although Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton publicly supported the proposed legislation, due to 2016 campaign schedule conflicts, Sanders and Tim Kaine, Clinton's running mate, were the only 2 senators who refrained from voting to override Obama's veto. Senator Harry Reid was the sole no vote In March 2018, a U.S. judge allowed a suit to move forward against Saudi Arabia brought by 9/11 survivors and victims' families. That the government should pay billions of dollars in damages to victims. Operation Encore was an FBI investigation into Saudi Arabian links to the September 11 attacks. Circumstantial evidence was uncovered but no direct links were established. Potential leads were not initially pursued and some FBI agents believed that the Kia interfered with its attempt to place two Saudis under surveillance. The alleged Saudi role in the September 11 attacks gained new attention after Bob Graham and Porter Goss, former U.S. congressman and co-chairman of the Congressional Inquiry